Welcome, dear friends, to this sacred space where we embark on a profound exploration. My name is Temi Sodome, and I am honored to be your guide. Today we delve into a map of human potential, a framework for understanding our deepest selves. Welcome to our journey through the 7 stages of spiritual development according to Sonari's stages of spiritual development. This is not merely an intellectual exercise, it is an invitation to look within, to recognize the subtle shifts in awareness that lead to profound transformation. Each stage represents a doorway, an opportunity to expand our understanding of who we are and our connection to the vast, interconnected web of existence. We will explore how consciousness, the very fabric of our reality, evolves and blossoms through these distinct yet interwoven phases, leading us towards a state of greater peace, wisdom, and authentic presence in the world. Spirituality, in its truest sense, is a personal journey for the transformation of consciousness. But why is it necessary to transform consciousness? Let's find out. In the very beginning of our human experience, as described by Sonari's first stage, we encounter the blank slate. Imagine a pristine canvas, untouched by the brushstrokes of experience, unmarred by the pigments of societal conditioning. This is the essence of our initial state of being, a consciousness pure and unformed, a vast expanse of potential awaiting the first imprints of life. It is a state of pure receptivity, where the world is perceived without the filters of preconceived notions or learned biases. This stage represents the dawn of awareness, a nascent consciousness that is open, curious, and deeply connected to the immediate sensory experience of existence. It is a time of fundamental innocence, where the self is not yet defined by external labels, but exists in a state of undifferentiated unity with its surroundings. This blank slate is not an emptiness in the sense of a void, but rather a fullness of unmanifested possibility. It is akin to the quantum field, where all potentials exist simultaneously, before observation collapses them into a specific reality. In this initial phase, our being is like a seed, containing the entire blueprint of our future development, yet still dormant, awaiting the conditions that will allow it to sprout and grow. The experiences that will eventually shape us have not yet arrived, and so, consciousness rests in a state of pure potentiality. It is a profound concept, suggesting that at our core, beneath all the layers we accumulate, there lies this original untainted awareness. Understanding this stage helps us appreciate the inherent purity from which all human experience begins its complex journey. The consciousness at this stage is primarily experiential, absorbing the world through direct interaction without the complex interpretations that come later. Think of an infant's gaze, taking in the colors, shapes, and sounds of its environment with wide-eyed wonder. There is no judgment, no analysis, only a direct and unfiltered engagement with reality. This stage reminds us that our fundamental nature is one of openness. While this pristine state is inevitably shaped and molded by subsequent experiences, recognizing its existence allows us to connect with a deeper, more fundamental aspect of ourselves, a place of stillness and pure awareness that can be revisited through practices like deep meditation, allowing us to touch that original innocence within. The blank slate is the foundation upon which all subsequent layers of selfhood are built. It is the unwritten story of our lives, the silence before the symphony begins. In this stage, there is no I as a separate entity defined by beliefs, roles, or memories. Instead, there is a seamless flow between the inner world and the outer world, a unity that is often lost as we progress through life and develop a more individuated sense of self. The significance of this stage lies in its reminder of our inherent capacity for new beginnings, for wiping the slate clean, in a metaphorical sense, and accessing a state of pure awareness that is always available to us, beneath the surface of our conditioned minds. This initial state of being is profoundly influenced by the immediate environment, yet it remains in its essence, a field of infinite possibilities. The energies surrounding this nascent consciousness begin to lay the very first subtle imprints, like the first drops of rain on undisturbed sand. These early influences, though not yet societal in the structured sense, are the precursors to the conditioning that will follow. The blank slate is therefore a delicate and highly receptive phase, where the groundwork for future perceptions and beliefs is subtly laid, even before the individual can consciously process or understand these influences. It is the quiet before the dawn of explicit learning. As we explore this stage, it's crucial to understand that this blankness is not a lack of inherent intelligence or spirit. Rather, it signifies an absence of acquired conditioning. The innate intelligence of life, the spark of consciousness itself, is fully present. It is the software of the mind, so to speak, that is yet to be programmed with the specific applications of culture, belief, and personal history. This distinction is vital, as it affirms the intrinsic value and potential present from the very outset of our journey. A potential that is pure and untainted, awaiting the unfolding of experience. The implications of this first stage are far-reaching. It suggests that many of the limitations and beliefs we later adopt are not inherent to our being, but are acquired. By understanding this original state, we can begin the process of deconditioning, of gently removing the layers of acquired identity to reconnect with that pristine awareness. This journey back to the source, in a way, mirrors the journey forward in spiritual development, as we seek to reclaim that sense of unity and openness that characterizes the blank slate, but this time with wisdom and conscious understanding. Therefore, Sonari's concept of the blank slate serves as a powerful starting point for our exploration of spiritual development. It sets the stage for understanding how we become who we are, and more importantly, how we can transcend limiting patterns to realize our fullest, most authentic self. It is a reminder that beneath the complexity of our adult lives, there exists a simple, profound truth. Our consciousness, at its core, is a field of infinite potential, an unwritten story waiting to be consciously authored. This awareness is the first step towards reclaiming our power to shape our inner world and, consequently, our outer reality. As we transition from the pristine awareness of the blank slate, we enter Sonari's second stage, the influence of society. This is where the unwritten canvas of our consciousness begins to be filled, painted with the colors, shapes, and textures of the world around us. It is in this crucial phase that our perceptions, beliefs, and behaviors are profoundly shaped by the primary architects of our early environment, our parents, our family structures, and the immediate community that nurtures our nascent being. These initial caregivers become the first mirrors reflecting back to us who we are, or rather, who they perceive us to be, and their values, beliefs, and emotional patterns become deeply ingrained within our developing psyche. Following these foundational, familial influences, the sphere of societal impact expands to include educational institutions. Schools from kindergarten through higher learning play a significant role in molding our understanding of the world, our place within it, and what is deemed important or valuable. Curricula, teaching methodologies, and the social dynamics within these environments all contribute to the construction of our mental frameworks. We learn not only facts and figures but also subtle lessons about authority, competition, cooperation, and conformity. The values espoused by these institutions, whether explicitly taught or implicitly conveyed, become part of the intricate tapestry of our conditioned consciousness, often without our conscious awareness of their deep-seated influence. Religious and cultural institutions further etch their patterns onto our developing consciousness. Whether we are raised within a specific faith tradition or a secular cultural environment, the narratives, rituals, moral codes, and belief systems of these larger groups contribute significantly to our worldview. These institutions provide frameworks for understanding life's big questions, offering answers and guidance that can bring comfort and structure, but can also at times limit our perspective if not integrated with personal discernment. The sense of belonging and identity derived from these affiliations is powerful, shaping our understanding of right and wrong, purpose, and our connection to something larger than ourselves. In our contemporary world, the media, in its myriad forms, television, social media, news outlets, advertising, exerts an almost omnipresent influence on our consciousness. From a very young age, we are bombarded with messages, images, and narratives that shape our desires, our aspirations, our fears, and our understanding of success, beauty, and happiness. The subtle and not-so-subtle conditioning from media sources can create a powerful current, often steering our thoughts and behaviors in directions that serve external agendas rather than our own authentic inner calling. Recognizing this pervasive influence is a critical step in reclaiming our mental sovereignty and discerning truth from skillfully crafted illusion. During this stage, the individual consciousness, once a vast and open field, begins to crystallize around these external inputs. We internalize the voices of authority, the expectations of our peers, and the norms of our culture. This process of socialization is, of course, necessary for functioning within society. It allows us to learn language, social cues, and shared understandings that facilitate communication and cooperation. However, if this conditioning remains unexamined, it can lead to a life lived on autopilot, a life dictated by external programming rather than by the authentic impulses of our own deepest self, our soul's unique song. The challenge of this stage lies in the fact that these influences are often absorbed unconsciously, particularly in our formative years. We adopt beliefs and behaviors without questioning their origin or validity, simply because they are presented as the way things are. This creates layers of conditioning that can obscure our true nature, leading to a sense of self that is more a reflection of societal expectations than an expression of our unique essence. The journey of spiritual development often involves becoming aware of these layers, examining them with compassion and wisdom, and consciously choosing what to keep and what to release. It is important to approach this stage with understanding rather than judgment. Our parents, teachers, and community leaders were themselves products of their own conditioning. They shared what they knew, what they believed to be true and beneficial. The purpose of recognizing these influences is not to assign blame, but to empower ourselves with awareness. By understanding how our consciousness has been shaped, we gain the ability to reshape it, to consciously choose the beliefs and values that resonate with our authentic self, and to cultivate a mind that is both informed by wisdom and free from limiting constraints. Thus, Stage 2, the influence of society, is a critical period of formation and imprinting. It is where the universal consciousness of the blank slate begins its journey of individuation through the lens of a specific cultural and familial context. While these influences provide a necessary framework for navigating the world, the spiritual path calls us to move beyond unquestioning acceptance, to begin the process of discernment and self-discovery that characterizes the subsequent stages of our evolution. This awareness is the key to unlocking a more conscious and self-directed existence, paving the way for a deeper connection with our own inner truth. Emerging from the deep imprints of societal conditioning, we arrive at Sonari's third stage, the search for self. This is a pivotal moment in our spiritual unfolding, a juncture where the whispers of an inner voice begin to grow louder than the chorus of external expectations. It is here that the individual starts to question the narratives they have inherited, to wonder if the beliefs and values absorbed from family, school, and culture truly resonate with their own burgeoning sense of inner truth. A subtle dissatisfaction may arise, a feeling that there must be something more to life than the prescribed path, a yearning for authenticity that cannot be quenched by conformity. This stage is characterized by a courageous act of turning inward, of beginning the profound inquiry, who am I truly beneath these layers of conditioning? It's a departure from passively accepting what has been taught, and a move towards actively seeking one's own experiences, one's own understanding of the world. This search can manifest in myriad ways, perhaps through exploring different philosophies, engaging in introspective practices like journaling or meditation, seeking out new environments and perspectives, or simply spending more time in quiet contemplation, listening to the subtle cues of the soul. The driving force is a deep-seated need for personal meaning and a genuine connection with one's own unique essence. The search for self often involves a period of deconstruction, where previously held certainties are examined, challenged, and sometimes lovingly dismantled. This can be an uncomfortable process, as it may involve stepping away from familiar comforts and beliefs that once provided a sense of security or belonging. It requires courage to question the status quo, both externally and internally. One might find themselves re-evaluating career choices, relationships, or lifestyle patterns that no longer feel aligned with this emerging, more authentic self. This questioning is not born of rebellion for its own sake, but from a sincere desire to live a life that is true and meaningful from the inside out. During this stage, individuals may actively seek out experiences that expand their consciousness and offer new perspectives. This could involve travel to different cultures, engaging with diverse spiritual traditions, or exploring creative pursuits that allow for self-expression. The aim is to gather a wider range of data points, so to speak, from which to form a more personal and integrated worldview. It is a time of experimentation, of trying on different ways of being and seeing what truly fits, what resonates with the deepest chords of one's being. The focus shifts from external validation to internal resonance as the primary guide for one's choices and beliefs. This quest is not always a linear or straightforward path. It can be filled with moments of confusion, doubt, and even a sense of alienation, as one navigates the space between old, familiar identities and a new, yet-to-be fully formed self. However, these challenges are integral to the process of forging a stronger, more resilient and authentic identity. Each question asked, each assumption challenged, chips away at the facade of the conditioned self, allowing the light of the true self to begin shining through more clearly. It is a journey of self-reclamation, of finding one's own voice amidst the noise of the world. The search for self is also a time when intuition begins to play a more significant role. As one learns to quiet the mind and listen more deeply, the subtle guidance of inner wisdom becomes more accessible. This inner knowing, often dismissed or overridden in earlier stages, now becomes a trusted compass, pointing the way towards experiences and understandings that support genuine growth and self-discovery. Trusting this intuitive faculty is a key aspect of differentiating one's own beliefs and experiences from those imposed by external sources, leading to a more self-authored life. Crucially, this stage involves distinguishing one's own innate experiences and direct perceptions from the second-hand knowledge and beliefs acquired from society. It's about validating one's own inner landscape, giving credence to personal insights and feelings, even if they differ from prevailing opinions. This cultivation of self-trust is fundamental to establishing a solid foundation for further spiritual development. It is the beginning of owning one's spiritual authority, recognizing that the ultimate source of wisdom and truth resides within, accessible through direct experience and sincere inquiry. Ultimately, the search for self is an awakening to the possibility of a life lived with greater consciousness and purpose. It marks the transition from being a passive recipient of life to an active participant in one's own evolution. While this search may be ongoing throughout life, this particular stage signifies the conscious initiation of that quest, the deliberate turning towards the inner world to discover the unique truth that lies at the heart of one's being. It is a courageous and transformative step on the path to inner peace and authentic self-realization, preparing the ground for a deeper union with the self. Following the earnest quest initiated in the search for self, we arrive at Sonari's fourth stage, union with the self. This stage marks a profound deepening of the inward journey, a movement beyond mere questioning and seeking, towards a direct and experiential connection with one's true essence. It is here that the individual begins to touch, to feel, to intimately know the changeless core of their being, that aspect of consciousness which remains constant amidst the ever-shifting landscape of thoughts, emotions, and external circumstances. This is the discovery of the silent witness, the peaceful observer within, This union is not a merging with something external but rather a recognition of what has always been present, albeit often obscured by the noise of the conditioned mind and the demands of the outer world. It's like the sun, always shining even when hidden by clouds. Practices such as deep meditation, sustained mindfulness, and profound self-inquiry become invaluable tools in this stage, helping to quiet the mental chatter and create the inner stillness necessary to perceive this deeper reality of the self. As the layers of identification with the egoic mind begin to thin, the radiant light of the true self becomes more apparent. In this stage, one starts to experience moments and then increasingly sustained periods of profound inner peace and contentment that are not dependent on external conditions. There is a growing realization that true happiness and fulfillment are not found in acquiring more or achieving more in the outer world, but in resting in the inherent completeness of one's own being. This is a shift from seeking to being, from striving to abiding. The frantic search for something out there begins to subside as one discovers the infinite wellspring of peace and joy within. The changeless essence referred to in this stage is often described in spiritual traditions as the Atman, the soul, or the true self. It is the timeless, formless awareness that is the source of all our experiences, yet remains untouched by them. Connecting with this essence brings a sense of profound stability and grounding. Life's inevitable ups and downs are still experienced, but they are met from a place of deeper equanimity, as one is no longer solely identified with the transient waves of experience but anchored in the vast ocean of being itself. This union with the self fosters a deep sense of self-acceptance and self-love. As one connects with the inherent perfection and wholeness of their true nature, the harsh inner critic begins to soften, and the need for external validation diminishes. There is a growing understanding that one's worth is intrinsic, not conditional upon achievements, appearance, or the approval of others. This unconditional self-acceptance is a powerful healing force, liberating tremendous energy that was previously consumed by self-judgment and insecurity. Furthermore, this stage often brings with it a heightened sense of intuition and inner guidance. As the connection with the true self strengthens, so too does the ability to access its inherent wisdom. Decisions become less fraught with anxiety and more guided by a clear inner knowing. There is a greater trust in the unfolding of life and a deeper sense of alignment with one's true purpose. This intuitive clarity arises naturally as the mind becomes less cluttered and more attuned to the subtle frequencies of the soul. The experience of union with the self is not a one-time event, but rather a deepening process of integration. It involves learning to live from this place of inner connection in everyday life, bringing the peace and wisdom of the self into one's relationships, work, and all activities. It is about embodying this deeper truth, allowing it to inform one's thoughts, words, and actions. This integration transforms not only one's inner world, but also how one shows up in the outer world, leading to more authentic and compassionate interactions. Ultimately, stage 4, union with the self, is about coming home to oneself. It is the joyful discovery that what we have been seeking externally has been within us all along. This realization brings a profound sense of liberation and empowerment. It is the understanding that we are not merely the limited, conditioned personality we once believed ourselves to be, but vast, eternal consciousness itself. This profound connection with our changeless essence lays the foundation for an even greater expansion of awareness and service in the stages that follow, as we begin to see this same self in all beings. As the profound inner connection established in the union with the self deepens and stabilizes, we naturally progress into Sonari's 5th stage, the light of the world. This stage signifies a beautiful and expansive shift, where the inner peace and wisdom cultivated begin to radiate outwards, touching and illuminating the lives of others and the world at large. Having found the source of light within, one now recognizes their inherent potential and indeed their sacred responsibility to be a positive force, a beacon of hope, compassion, and understanding in a world that often seems shrouded in darkness and division. In this stage, the realization dawns that the true self discovered within is not separate from the self in others. The illusion of isolated individuality begins to dissolve, replaced by an experiential understanding of interconnectedness, of oneness with all life. This profound empathy naturally gives rise to a deep and abiding compassion. The suffering of others is no longer perceived as separate from one's own. There is a heartfelt desire to alleviate that suffering and to contribute to the well-being of the collective. This compassion is not a sentimental emotion but a powerful, motivating force for positive action. Those in Stage 5 begin to embody qualities of authentic leadership, not necessarily in formal positions of power, but through the quiet influence of their presence, their wisdom, and their actions. They lead by example, demonstrating integrity, kindness, and a commitment to higher values. Their words and deeds inspire others to look within, to awaken to their own potential, and to contribute their unique gifts to the world. This leadership is rooted in service rather than ego, in a genuine desire to uplift and empower rather than to control or dominate. The light of the world is not about seeking recognition or acclaim, but about effortlessly shining one's authentic light. It's about allowing the overflow of inner peace, love, and wisdom to naturally extend into every interaction and endeavor. Individuals at this stage often find themselves drawn to avenues of service, whether through their profession, volunteer work, or simply in their everyday interactions with family, friends, and strangers. They understand that even small acts of kindness and compassion can have a ripple effect, contributing to a more harmonious and loving world. This stage also involves a greater understanding of global challenges and a desire to contribute to solutions that address the root causes of suffering, injustice, and environmental degradation. The perspective expands beyond personal concerns to encompass the well-being of humanity and the planet. There is a recognition that spiritual awakening is not merely for personal liberation, but also for the transformation of the collective consciousness. The individual becomes an agent of positive change, working in whatever capacity they can to co-create a more conscious, equitable, and sustainable world. Embodying compassion in this stage means meeting others where they are, without judgment, offering understanding and support. It involves active listening, empathy, and a willingness to see the inherent goodness and potential in every human being, even those whose actions may seem misguided or harmful. This compassionate presence can be incredibly healing, both for the giver and the receiver, fostering connection and dissolving barriers of fear and separation. It is a practical application of the spiritual insights gained in earlier stages. Furthermore, the individual at this stage understands the power of their own consciousness to influence reality. They consciously cultivate positive thoughts, intentions, and emotions, knowing that these energies contribute to the collective field. They may engage in practices such as loving kindness, meditation, or prayer, not just for themselves but for the benefit of all beings. They become a living embodiment of the principle that as we heal and uplift ourselves, we contribute to the healing and uplifting of the world around us. In essence, Stage 5, the light of the world, is where the inner journey of self-discovery blossoms into outer expression and service. It is the stage where one realizes that their personal awakening is inextricably linked to the awakening of all. By courageously and consistently shining their inner light, they become a source of inspiration, healing, and positive transformation, embodying the profound truth that we are all interconnected and that our greatest fulfillment comes from contributing to the greater good, becoming a true instrument of peace and love in the world. As one lives and breathes as the light of the world, embodying compassion and service, the journey deepens further into Sonari's 6th stage transformation of consciousness. This is not merely an incremental change, but a profound, often radical, shift in the very fabric of one's awareness and understanding of reality. While previous stages laid the groundwork and initiated connection, this stage is marked by a more complete and pervasive metamorphosis of how life, self, and the universe are perceived and experienced. It is a quantum leap in consciousness, moving beyond intellectual understanding to a direct embodied knowing. This transformation is frequently catalyzed and sustained by dedicated spiritual practices. Whether it's advanced forms of meditation, prolonged periods of contemplative retreat, deep engagement with sacred teachings, or other disciplined paths of inner work, these practices serve to purify the mind, open the heart, and expand awareness beyond the confines of the ordinary egoic state. Through such practices, the veils of illusion become increasingly transparent, revealing the underlying unity and interconnectedness of all existence with startling clarity. The old paradigms of separation and limitation begin to dissolve completely. A hallmark of this stage is a sustained state of heightened awareness, often described as witness consciousness or presence. The individual no longer identifies primarily with the fluctuating stream of thoughts and emotions, but rests in the calm, spacious awareness that observes them without attachment or judgment. This doesn't mean thoughts and emotions cease, but their power to define or disturb the individual is greatly diminished. There is a profound sense of freedom from the mind's habitual patterns, and an ability to navigate life with greater clarity, wisdom, and grace. The understanding of self undergoes a radical redefinition. The sense of being a separate, isolated individual gives way to an experience of being an integral part of a vast, intelligent, and loving universe. The boundaries between self and other, inner and outer, become increasingly fluid and porous. One may experience moments of cosmic consciousness, a direct perception of the infinite, timeless reality that underpins all manifest forms. This is not a mere belief, but a lived experience that fundamentally alters one's perspective on life and death, meaning and purpose. This profound shift in awareness often leads to a natural transcendence of fear, particularly the fear of death. As identification with the limited physical form lessens, and a deeper connection with the eternal, formless self strengthens, the fear of annihilation loses its grip. There is a growing realization of one's true nature as indestructible consciousness, which brings an unparalleled sense of peace and liberation. This allows for a more fearless and joyful engagement with life, free from the anxieties that plague a consciousness identified solely with the perishable. The transformation of consciousness also brings about a deeper appreciation for the mystery and sacredness of life. Everyday moments become imbued with a sense of wonder and profundity. The ordinary becomes extraordinary. There is a recognition of the divine intelligence at play in all of creation, from the smallest particle to the vastness of the cosmos. This perception fosters a deep reverence for life in all its forms, and a commitment to living in harmony with the natural order of the universe. Spiritual insights that were previously understood intellectually are now directly experienced and integrated into the very being of the individual. Concepts like non-duality, karma, and interconnectedness are no longer abstract ideas but palpable realities. This embodied wisdom informs every aspect of life, leading to choices and actions that are spontaneously aligned with universal truth and compassionate love. There is less effort involved in trying to be spiritual and more of a natural expression of one's transformed state of being. Ultimately, Stage 6, the transformation of consciousness, represents a fundamental rewiring of one's entire perceptive and experiential framework. It is the fruit of sustained spiritual practice and unwavering commitment to inner growth. This stage is characterized by a stable, expanded awareness, a deep sense of unity with all that is, and a profound inner freedom. It is a state of being where the light of consciousness shines brightly and consistently, illuminating not only one's own path but also offering a beacon for the collective journey towards awakening, preparing for the ultimate realization of the final stage. We now arrive at the culmination of this extraordinary journey, Sonari's seventh and final stage, the awakened stage. This represents the full blossoming of human consciousness, a state where the deep, sustained connection with one's true self and the universe is not merely an intermittent experience or a goal to be striven for, but the very fabric of one's moment-to-moment existence. It is the realization and embodiment of enlightenment, where the individual lives in a state of effortless unity, profound peace, and boundless compassion, fully awake to the ultimate reality. In the awakened stage, the transformation of consciousness experienced in the previous stage becomes fully stabilized and integrated into every aspect of life. There is no longer a distinction between spiritual life and everyday life. All of life is perceived and lived as a sacred expression of the divine. The sense of a separate egoic self has largely or entirely dissolved, replaced by an unwavering identification with universal consciousness, the timeless, formless awareness that is the source and substance of all creation. This is not a loss of individuality, but an expansion into a vaster, more inclusive identity. Living in this stage means experiencing a profound and unshakable inner peace, a joy that is independent of external circumstances. While challenges and difficulties may still arise in the outer world, they are met from a place of deep equanimity and wisdom, without disturbing the underlying serenity of being. There is a complete surrender to the flow of life, a trust in the inherent intelligence of the universe, and an absence of resistance to what is. This allows for a life of grace, spontaneity, and effortless action, guided by intuitive wisdom. The awakened individual perceives the interconnectedness of all things not as a concept but as a direct, palpable reality. They see the same divine essence shining in every being and every particle of creation. This perception naturally gives rise to unconditional love and universal compassion. Actions are spontaneously aligned with the highest good of all, free from self-centered motives. There's a natural inclination to serve, to alleviate suffering, and to contribute to the evolution of consciousness, not out of a sense of duty, but as a joyful expression of one's true nature. In this state, the mind is a clear and faithful servant, rather than a restless master. Thoughts arise and pass without creating turbulence, and the individual is able to access profound states of stillness and silence at will. Intuition is highly developed, providing clear guidance and insight. There is a deep understanding of the fundamental laws of the universe and an ability to live in harmony with them. Creativity flows effortlessly, and life becomes an expression of beauty, truth, and goodness. The fear of death is completely transcended in the awakened stage, as there is a direct, experiential knowing of one's eternal nature. The body is seen as a temporary vehicle for consciousness, and its eventual dissolution is accepted with peace and understanding. The focus is on living fully in the present moment, recognizing that eternity is not a future state, but is accessible now, in the timeless awareness that is one's true self. This liberation from fear allows for a truly authentic and joyful existence. Those who reach this stage often become spiritual luminaries, guides, and teachers, whether formally or informally. Their very presence can be transformative, radiating peace, wisdom, and love. They embody the highest human potential, demonstrating what is possible for all who sincerely tread the path of spiritual development. They are living proof that enlightenment is not a mythical attainment reserved for a select few, but the natural destiny of every human soul willing to undertake the journey of awakening. The awakened stage, therefore, is not an endpoint in terms of growth, as the universe is infinitely creative. But it represents the attainment of a stable, non-dual consciousness, a profound and lasting liberation. It is a life lived in perfect harmony with oneself, with others, and with the cosmos. It is the ultimate fulfillment of the spiritual quest, where the seeker finally realizes that they are, and always have been, that which they were seeking: pure, boundless, awakened consciousness itself, forever at one with the dance of the universe. As we conclude our exploration today, I want to extend my deepest gratitude to you. Thank you for joining us on this exploration of the 7 stages of spiritual development according to Sonari's framework. We have traversed a map that charts the evolution of consciousness, from the initial blank slate to the luminous awakened stage. Remember, spirituality is a personal journey that can transform your life in profound ways, leading you towards greater self-awareness, compassion, and a deep, abiding connection with the universe. Each stage offers unique lessons and opportunities for growth, And wherever you find yourself on this path, know that you are exactly where you need to be. Embrace the process with patience, curiosity, and an open heart. Stay tuned for more insights and practices to help you on your path. This journey of spiritual development is not about reaching a final destination overnight, but about the continuous unfolding of your true potential, moment by moment, day by day. The insights from Sonari stages are meant to serve as guiding lights, illuminating the way forward and helping you navigate the beautiful complexities of your inner world. The transformation of consciousness is the most profound adventure we can undertake, an adventure that enriches not only our own lives but also contributes to the healing and awakening of the collective. Carry these reflections with you and allow them to inspire you to delve deeper into your own unique spiritual experience, fostering peace within and extending it outwards. We are committed to supporting you on this path of discovery and growth. If this exploration resonated with you, please consider sharing it with others who might benefit from this wisdom. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content on spiritual growth and personal development. Your engagement helps us to continue creating and sharing these vital teachings. May your journey be filled with light, love, and profound self-discovery. Until next time, be well, and continue to nurture the divine spark within you. Namaste.